I'm turned up, all the way turned up. I'm turned up, all the way turned up. I'm turned up, all the way turned up. Come to VIP, you see me getting turned up. I'm turned up, all the way turned up. I'm turned up, all the way turned up. I'm turned up, all the way turned up. Yo, I keep it real, you keep it basic. Stronger than I look is the only time I fake it. Workout plan, nah man, you couldn't take it. I'm doing push-ups on your butt naked.
Hey.
Wow. When we say the stars align,
Seriously.
we mean it here at Beyond the Journal.
The universe works in our favor.
I
just feel like it. And you show up grateful. And I
Yes.
love that.
Very,
So
very,
welcome,
very.
C. Will Part 2. Thank you so much.
No, thank you
By
for having me.
huge request.
Yeah,
you are back
a lot of
with us.
feedback after the last show. We
For
had you on
real.
the air, and listen, I felt more popular than I ever have, brother.
Me
I appreciate
too.
you. Yeah, they
You
were
guys
hitting
made
me
feel
up.
the same way.
Oh
Made me
my
feel the same way.
gosh.
It was
I was
all
like,
good.
everybody from all angles loved it so
Yeah,
much. So
yeah.
thank you so
And-
much.
Happy to be back.
And I don't know about you, but I've been able to get my sons in the gym with Coach C. Will. Huge hit with my sons as well.
That's good.
And
I
the
love those
LA
guys.
boys are not easy to please when it comes to coaches and trainers. We like C. Will. Thank you very much.
That's good. I appreciate it.
Yes, indeed.
I'm
Well,
happy to
I've
be here.
been in the gym with C. Will, so welcome to the party.
Oh, that's
We've
cool
been
too.
there.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, C. Will's the best, and if you're lucky enough to have the opportunity to work with him, please take it. You will not regret it.
Yes.
So let's start the show. We're running a little bit late, and C. Will just walked in, and we're just like kicking it all off. We're just gonna dive right in.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you how you're doing, but I can't be concerned
Oh,
apparently.
excuse-
D- are we in a
Really?
rush? Okay. So I'm guessing you're doing well.
Doing well.
Okay. How's what have you been doing all week? I know you've been off, right?
Well, myself, Kenny Stevens, Coach Marquis Poole, Rudy King, we're doing like a
Big names.
holiday basketball camp,
Yes, indeed.
like old school, like camp stations, drills,
Yep.
speakers, high energy.
Yes.
That's why I'm a little late. I'm actually coming from the Yonkers PAL now.
Yeah.
How's it been going?
It's been going great.
Yeah?
It's been going great. Fortunately, we've had 65 kids. It's a big space. We're definitely staying. We're following through with the COVID procedures, but
Oh, good.
Kenny and I were talking last night, and I'm like, wow, like 65 kids during a pandemic, that's a pretty good sign.
Oh yeah.
And the kids have been coming in, they've been working.
High
you know,
energy, I
high
bet. I
energy.
know that's all you asked for.
Yeah, high energy,
Yeah.
attention to detail. So it's been going well.
That's good, man. It's
Like,
good to
really
get
well.
these kids out of the house, especially not only, as you say, during the pandemic, but on their breaks, which aren't really breaks because they're in the same place they were doing school,
Exactly.
most of
I
them.
know.
Like
Oh.
a
Right.
parent, we were just walking out the gym, and it's probably a kid maybe like 8, 9 years old. He's like limping out the gym, and his mom is just laughing. Like she's like, "See,
Yes.
this feels good, right?
Yes.
This feels good. Like I needed to get you out the house." And she's like, "I'm
Indeed.
ready for the next one."
It's important, man.
It's very
It's
important.
important not only to their physical development, but that mental development is important.
It's extremely
There's,
important.
I truly believe there are so many skills, life skills we can teach through the sport, through the overall overcoming of obstacles when you're on the court, or
Absolutely.
when you're just on a team, just trying to be a part of that team. That's a life skill, and to have a coach and a leader, and then the names you mentioned in one place over break, they're getting up. This is their break packet, is the way I'm looking at it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's a
Exactly.
physical, athletic break packet. I'm sorry, I'm running off on a tangent. I just love the idea. I think it's awesome, and hopefully we can do something like that soon.
Yeah.
I think it's
It's
anyway.
needed. It's needed. Definitely
Yes.
needed.
Sorry. Okay. What do you want to talk about, E?
He's ready. She's ready. Look at her. She's ready.
First of all, we have to start off with a massive congratulations to Kyle Cuff Jr.,
Yes.
who
Yes.
committed to
Yep.
Kansas. Rock chalk,
Yes,
baby.
indeed.
Yep.
Yes,
Listen,
indeed. That's big.
I am, you know me, I
Yes,
am
indeed.
beyond excited about this. One, because it's amazing to have New York City basketball repping back in Allen Fieldhouse again, which I'm super excited about. Two, obviously, I'm a huge Kansas fan. But
Yep.
third, I'm a massive Kyle Cuff Jr. fan. So I love his game. His family is so kind. And I said I debated going to Gaucho's for his announcement, and I'm so glad I didn't go because I would have embarrassed myself, and I would have taken all the attention away from Kyle, which is where the attention should be focused. So I was so excited. I was jumping up, and I watched it live.
No, that's big.
But I was jumping up and down screaming. I was texting the coaches like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So I'm super psyched. Just wanted to say a massive congratulations.
Congratulations
That's huge
to
for New York City, huge for Kyle, the family, everybody, huge for Kansas. I cannot wait.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's big time.
just wanted to shout that out. So what's next?
Have you been watching the NBA lately?
Definitely.
Dude, first of all, I'm happy the NBA's back, right? Even though we don't have the crowd, it's still the NBA, and it's very much the NBA,
it's
right?
The league. It's definitely the league.
However, some really strange things have been going on.
Yes.
I turned on my TV the other day, and the Knicks were up by like 50 or 40 against the Bucks. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but what?
It was a good win. It was a good win. But Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah, well,
You know what I'm saying?
I've
Like
been a fan since the Bulls.
Yeah, like the name, it's bigger than the name. It's like things are going to change. And like you said, like the Bucks.
The Bucks. But, I mean, to the rest of the Bucks' defense, I have noticed that a strategy that teams are using against Giannis is to simply back off.
Yeah.
And it works. It works. So if he doesn't develop a jump shot, their reign is over at the top of the
Giannis is
East.
tough. He's a tough cover because when he's going straight at you, like he doesn't need to play around with the ball, but he's not really like a creator for others as well. So it's kind of like you can jam the paint in, kind of like wall him up, like, all right, cool. Like he's not going to really kick it out too much, and he needs to improve his jump shot, but he needs to be a playmaker as well.
I think if I may, I think we don't want him to get a jump shot. I think giving him a jump shot actually takes it easy on the defense. I think if you use a guy like Giannis, you punish other teams.
Yeah.
He needs a post game. He needs a Shaq kind of post game where he's taking advantage of other power forwards because he's longer, he's faster, and he's got a touch, and he's strong. Right? Yeah. You leave him in the post, let him face up a little bit. That's all the jump shot you need, and then face up, pump fake, and then he's going downhill. Right? Yeah. That jump shot thing is not for every big man. It's not. I think it's for some. I think it's not for some. I think Giannis should stay down low.
Yeah, but it's helpful. You should be able to. I mean, it would be helpful in certain situations. I totally agree with you. I agree with what you're saying, but I feel like at this point, and we've had this conversation a couple times, Sewell, like I feel like any player on the court now has to be able, to shoot.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. I don't care if you're a big. I don't care what you are. You have to be able to at some point shoot the ball.
Because L brings up a good point. Like if he puts Giannis in the post, then that means Lopez, who's a 7'3" guy, that he's gonna shoot threes. Like somebody like 4 to 5 of your players like have to shoot threes.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I agree with you.
So it's so difficult because you're playing threes versus twos, and you need to have as many 3-point threats on the floor as possible.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that's necessary.
That's where the game has changed.
Yeah, because you've got to be able to spread a defense out. Defenses work way too well when they're not only in sync, but they're packed in.
Yeah.
So you need those big man shooters. Sorry. Speaking of you need something, shooters, the Mavs were up by 50 in the first half.
That was crazy.
Against whom? Who was it? Was it the Clippers?
The Clippers.
Can I just say I'm not a believer in the Clippers show? I'm not. I know they've got some tough players. I'm not a believer.
Last year took a lot out of them.
Yeah.
It took a lot out of them because, you invest and you're like, okay, we're going to get Paul George, make a splash. We're going to get Kawhi, make a splash. And then you get to the playoffs and it's like,
this ain't it.
But didn't Paul George have like 40 points in that game too? I feel like he had.
I didn't really see the stats.
I don't know, but he took responsibility for the loss. But anyway, something's off with their chemistry. Something's off.
I'm not a Paul George fan. I'm gonna say that on the air.
Record,
not a Paul
but
George
off
fan.
the record, we want to see people get paid. You really want to see them get paid.
Yeah.
But like, you have to be a special person to have everything in the world that you want, and go to work every day and bust your butt as hard as you can every single day.
Yes.
That's a challenge. Like, like if you have millions of dollars, you have everything that you worked so hard for, and that's where you start seeing players separate themselves. Like LeBron, I'm looking at him like, man, LeBron looks focused. Like he's trying to get another one. KD and Kyrie, they're looking like, yo, we missed this past season. But then you look at the Clippers and it's like, I'm not throwing shade or anything, but Kawhi, you got paid. Like, you got your chip.
Yep.
Like, you're not losing by 50 if you're in Toronto right now. You're not losing. It's not happening. You're not giving up like that.
I feel like Kawhi's energy or passion has been on the decline. I feel like when we first saw him as a scrawny rookie in San Antonio, we saw that hunger, and we kind of loved it because he wasn't afraid to go up against the Goliath of LeBron at the time, right? Yeah. And then as he became more of a Goliath himself, and the money starts coming in and the attention, we see him shrinking back a little bit, passion-wise. That's one thing. And also, in addition to what you're saying, it does take a special person to show up to the job every day with that fight and passion, especially when you have everything you want. And I think that speaks to a larger thing. I think that speaks to the idea of relationships. Yep. Right? Yep. Because a lot of times when you get into relationships, that's technically all you wanted at that time, right? To actually get in there and sustain yourself and show up every day. That's what you always talk about. You have to show up every day, right? That requires love. Yeah. In that right there, the thing that keeps you showing up every day is love. And Kobe spoke about it in an interview. He said, when I got to the league, I knew it was going to be easy because guys had gotten their contract, they'd gotten everything they'd ever wanted, and they were done. And he was like, and I was never going to be done until I was number one.
And according to the rumors, he has special privileges that he has had, access to.
That's what
he basically decides when he can show up and when he doesn't and when he's late and when he's not.
I don't think it's I'm sorry to cut you off.
No,
I don't think
okay.
it's as much as that. Doc Rivers had a quote where he said, basketball, it's everyone's treated fairly, but it's not a democracy. And, that goes for all levels. And I'm sure as we get deeper in the conversation, like, it's not like if he's your best player and he's worth a certain dollar, he's going to get some different privileges that somebody that's on a two-way deal is getting. And that's just natural and that's normal.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
I think so. I think
agree.
so.
I
on
agree.
that level. That's extremely okay because it's like your value, your worth. It's like at work, any job, like if I put in a certain amount of time, like I should have some, like, okay, listen, I'm running a few minutes late. You understand I've been doing this for 15 years and I've been through the company. It's a little different than someone that's just coming on the company. Not saying to abuse it, but it's like, okay, I've been here, my situation, like, because Kawhi, I don't think he lives in the LA area.
No, he lives like 2-3 hours away.
Or like Phoenix or something. They said.
So
but that's what I'm saying. Like if to both of your point, like he got the paycheck, he got the chip, and now he doesn't even need to live in the same town, and he kind of like shows up for twice a week practices instead of 5 a week or whatever. I don't know, where do you lose the passion and the love, and when are you just collecting the paycheck, and how does that? And I saw him act in a commercial for Terminator, and it's recent. It's coming out, I guess. Terminator, and he actually does a pretty good job.
He's he's actually in the movie.
I don't know. It was a promo. He was in the gym with Arnold and Sarah Connor. Yeah. I'll send you guys the link.
Please. Yeah.
But anyway, so it was funny. But he actually did far better than I expected. But anyway,
Kawhi Leonard would be like the Keanu Reeves of basketball player actors.
Yeah, totally.
Just like
that's funny.
Straight monotone.
So the other, what else did we? Curry.
Yeah, Curry was out there shooting like me.
He hit 105 threes. Oh, I told you this. He hit 105 threes in a row in practice in under 5 minutes.
I believe it.
That's ridiculous.
Crazy.
I believe it.
That's crazy.
It is, but it's like we're talking. Steph Curry, signature shoe.
Yeah.
$30 million a year. You better be able to do something that some other people can't do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, and like Lawrence just said before the show, we were talking about it, and he was like, "Can I say that out loud? What you said about Curry? How you wouldn't build a franchise around him?"
Yo,
I just called him out.
That's crazy. How are you gonna ask me and do it at the same time?
Sorry, my bad. Because I just felt like that should be shared.
All right. So can I just explain what I mean by that?
Defend yourself.
All right. So I
agree, by the way.
I don't like building franchises around shooters. I think the best shooter mid-range, I think Michael Jordan was 49 or 51 for his career from the field goal, field goal percentage, right? And in terms of 3-point percentage, I don't think anybody's ever averaged above like 65% for 3-point.
And that's high.
That's extremely high, right? High. If I'm shooting 40% from 3, I'm a deadly shooter.
Shoot it every time, pretty
right?
much. 40%,
but
shoot that.
40% I can't build my franchise around. I think 40% as a shooter, you need to bring so much more and to be a scorer. a two-way player. You can't just be a shooter for me. I can't build a franchise around J.J. Redick the way I could build a college organization around him. Yeah. But I can't build a franchise around him in the NBA. Yeah. I can build a franchise around a big. I can build a franchise around Giannis. I don't know that I can build a franchise around Devin Booker unless he is the scorer he is. If he were just a pure shooter, like a Kyle Korver, you can't build a franchise around him. Yeah. So with Steph Curry, I need him to be more. I need him to be like a defensive stopper. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I need him to make his teammates better. I can't be sitting here designing an offense for a shooter who's also my point guard. Yeah. I just can't see that being my franchise. Yeah. So that's me. Yeah. And I wasn't ready to explain that at all. Thank you.
No. You're welcome. I feel like it was like a perfect opportunity for you.
It makes sense. It makes sense. And it worked for them.
It did.
It worked for
them.
But it's like you said, to carry that on, like the longevity, because now you miss You miss Clay.
Yep.
And you miss your pretty much your safety or your quarterback and Draymond.
Yep.
And now you're like, oh, you got to put more in your book bag now. Now, like you're saying, that limitation of I'm just going to shoot. I'm just going to shoot. Yeah. Now you need to play make
because you have who? Kelly Oubre.
I was just going to say, and you have Oubre and Wiggins who
you have to lead with.
And Oubre's 7 for 40 for this season, and Wiggins is 14 for 49. What are you talking about right now?
That's not so Oubre at all.
No, it is not. And what are you? How do you? I mean, what do you do with that?
That's honestly that's on them though.
Like, horrible.
On who? On who though?
On Andrew and Kelly.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing in that system, whoever you're working out with, whoever you're dealing with, we're just shooting the ball.
Yeah.
We got to shoot the ball. Like, you have to be able to make
preseason,
shots.
Kerr was really excited about that duo, and they are not showing up. So I'm hoping that, of course, all the Kansas fans are like, oh, they're nerves. They'll settle in. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. They're kind of, Kelly is different than Wiggins. Wiggins has always kind of been a bust.
Yeah, and he
you know what it is? Andrew is extremely talented.
He is.
High school, and he dominated. But the thing is, like, your first wall can't be once you get to the league.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Like, your first, because that's again, you hit that wall,
right?
But you got Adidas money, you got NBA money. We always talk about the mental. Like, you're in the wall and you're in a slump, but you're like, okay, I'm already paid. Like, and I'm not knocking Andrew by any, but I'm just saying, like,
I think
it's the truth. After 1 year of college, you're not mentally ready to deal with that wall and understand that, like you said, he is somewhat of a bust.
That's the tough part with a natural talent, because when you have a natural talent, why would you stay, right? But with that natural talent, you should learn some skills for the longevity of it.
I also just feel like he never really found his footing. Like, he just never really settled in properly.
On the record, off the record, I don't think Kansas was the right spot for him.
Yeah.
You understand? I don't think, like, that was the right spot for him.
Right.
You know, because in that
he had
year,
a good...
he had a pretty solid year, but he didn't have that Kevin Durant year.
What kind of school would he have gone to? A smaller school?
I looked at him more as like a Pac-12 guy, like a UCLA, you know, up and down, Arizona, up and down.
I can see him at Arizona.
Like Kansas is more like you got to really think and be smart. And, you know, like you said, when you're a talent and you go to Kansas, it's like
there's a program, there's a system.
There's a little system. Like,
and
you
it
can
takes
be extremely
a while.
talented. Every year, Bill has one of the top recruiting classes, but all those kids don't play.
Yeah.
They don't play major minutes as freshmen because it's a certain system.
Got to work within that system.
That it's like, you know, and I'm not mad. Like, that's you know, he went and it worked out for him. But it's like, I think that year kind of stunted his growth a little bit because his momentum was everything was athletic and using his speed and his quickness. And then it's like, now you got to think, slow down, be smart.
I wonder how that affects you when there's so much hype around you and you go into Kansas, a big school, a big name, you play 1 year, you go right to the draft, and I mean, it is a big deal. Everybody has like you all the way up here, right?
And that's the trick. You're all the way up there, whether if you're Andrew Wiggins or you're a walk-on.
Right.
In Kansas, from what I've been told. Like, if you're a part of Kansas basketball, you're like legend, whether if you're the best player, whether you're the worst player.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, now you're like, you're no superstar because that kid right there, that's your roommate, that may not be a McDonald's All-American. He's a superstar, too, walking around campus. Yeah. People are like, oh, that's such and such. And
you think that's necessary, that every kid goes through that where she or he realizes I'm not the superstar? You think that's necessary? Or are there some kids who require being treated like a superstar to show up?
You know what? It's a tricky question because at the end of the day, like, we need reality checks.
Okay.
You understand? Like, we, especially in the game, like, we need reality checks. Like, that hype up, like, honestly, and it's no knock. And I'm going to just talk.
Go ahead.
DeAndre Ayton was the talk of AAU. Julius Randle was the talk of AAU.
Yep.
Michael Porter was the talk
yeah.
of AAU.
I still think he's one of the
O.J.
toughest.
Mayo was the talk of AAU.
Yep.
You understand? Ronaldo Sidney, who some may not know, was the talk of AAU. He played at USC for a while.
Okay.
And you think about it, and it's like, it's so hard to fill. Even a Marvin Bagley, he was the talk
Yes, he was.
of EYBL.
Yes, he was.
But now he goes to the league, and you're regular.
Yep.
And my problem with all of that is, it's cool to get paid and all that, but as a professional, you just don't want one check. Like, as a freelancer or whatever you are as an artist, you don't want just one album and just be like, okay, I'm good now. Like, it's about the longevity and how do you sustain it.
Right.
And the problem is, like, I think those kids really struggle with trying to reach their potential when they've been hyped up for so long and now you're paid because, you know, you're working hard for what? Oh, I want to get my mama that house.
Yeah.
I want to make it to the NBA. I want to take care of my family. And once you get that, because not for nothing, $1 million could change your life.
Yep.
Or will change your life. Forget 30 million, but think about 6.5 million.
Yep.
Marvin Bagley, and a $30 million, and a Chris Paul.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a huge difference.
Yep. Your whole perspective is
Your
different.
whole perspective, like $30 million for a year.
Yeah.
But for us, we're looking at 6.5. That's like, oh my gosh,
That's a lot. And I always say about money, it's a lot until it's not.
It's a lot until it's
because what a lot of people who don't have money don't understand is, as you buy more expensive things, you create a more expensive situation. And so dollars to bills is a similar ratio on the lower level as it is on the higher level, right?
More money, more problems.
More money, more problems.
That's what
right?
I'm talking
And a lot of times that's mental, especially in sport. That's mental, and in art, like, you know, like that's a mental thing, because if you're like, if the only reason you're playing is to get to the NBA, once you get there, okay, now what happens?
Now what?
You know what I'm saying? Like, I read it today. I think it was since 2005, LeBron may be the only #1 pick that was an All-Star. I believe it's something like that. I gotta look in my phone.
That can't
It was
be true.
it was
wow.
like, and I started thinking about.
I'm thinking about
all
it.
of the #1
I'm thinking about
picks
it.
of Kwame Brown.
Yeah.
Think about the #1 picks that have been drafted, like, and you start to think, and you'd be like, wow, like Russell Westbrook wasn't on #1. Kevin Durant wasn't #1.
Nope. Nope.
You
Greg
know,
Oden was number 1 that year.
Greg Oden was #1.
Greg Oden.
But you see what I'm saying?
that story's so sad.
Greg Oden was the guy on that AAU team, but his point guard, Mike Conley, still in the league, getting about $20 million a year, and he's 5'11", 6'1".
So that's kind of my point with Wiggins, where I was going with that. If you're the man and you play 1 year, and he was, yes, it's right what you say about Kansas and everybody there is the star, and I think that they tell you that, but there are some guys who are like, yeah, whatever. I'm still the man, right? Yeah. But how does that translate then when you are drafted high and you show up in the league and you're just not ready? Like, I'm wondering what the stats are, and I don't have them, but I'm wondering how that plays, because there's a mental game. We've talked about this a million times. There's a huge mental aspect to basketball, right? And on the court and off. So I'm wondering how that really impacts a player's career, because I think if it hits you in the right spot, it could really mess you up.
It will.
Right? Like, you can trip yourself up. You can psych yourself out.
Without even really realizing it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't even realize it. Like, you're backpedaling.
Yep.
But you're like, man, I'm going forward now. You're backpedaling.
No.
Right.
And I think a huge part of it is to never lose. I think the way to sustain it throughout a career is to constantly be competing with your yesterday self.
You said it.
That's where the love is.
You said it. I really wish more people, like The Last Dance. I grew up a big Michael Jordan fan.
Yes.
Right? I love Mike. Mike because it was like watching Mike you saw his passion. Like, think about it. I can't remember too many people like who are in dead tears after winning a championship.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, I see people celebrate, like, but like in real tears, like it matters to you.
He gave his all for that.
It matters. Like, and then you think, and then you watch The Last Dance and you see everything that's around it. And I'm not saying Mike was perfect or he was the greatest teammate, but it's like he set the blueprint that Kobe followed.
Yes.
That
Kobe admits
LeBron
that.
followed.
Yep.
You see that. It's like I'm chasing me,
Yes.
my greatness. Like, I'm not trying to chase Mike. I noticed LeBron, Kobe, they all like, no. I'm trying to be the best version of me. Guess what? Kobe wasn't the most liked. Rest in peace. Mike wasn't the most liked. LeBron, he's not the most liked, as we see with his little few feuds going on. You know what I'm saying? But when you're locked in and you're focused on something, you really won't be liked because you're like, yo, I'm holding you two to a certain standard that, man, I'm trying to win.
But not only that, you won't be liked because you can't be as social. You can't be as concerned with being socially appropriate because you're on your own mission that has nothing to do with everybody else. And so what you're chasing, your own greatness, it can be an isolating type of behavior, perspective, activity. And I think sometimes, and we've seen it, we've seen people shed their following or shed their entourage or shed family members on their way to something. I deal with that on a regular basis. People tell me, you're like a hermit. You disappear. And I do, but then I come out with these pieces I've written. And people are like, oh, wow. And I'm like, I wouldn't be able to do that if I was hanging out at your party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to become a little bit of an introvert to hone your craft sometimes. And I think that's where you get that a-hole perspective because you're like, yo, you should have said that a little nicer to me. And he's like, my man, no disrespect, but this is step 1 out of 27. I'm doing something right now. You know?
Yeah, no,
I think LeBron has a really great handle and take on mental toughness. I mean, he did a whole Calm. There's an app called Calm with which I meditate with, and he did a whole mental toughness series that I listened to every second of, and it was fascinating. It was amazing. I took notes. I'll send you my notes. Seriously, it's really, really, really good. And he talks about his pregame ritual, his postgame ritual. He talks about his sleep routines, how he eats, everything. It is literally calculated to the minute. He does not play around with his body, his mental fitness. His meditation, his sleep, all of it is very, very important. But I think one thing that he does really well that I don't think even really existed in Mike's era is he brings the guys along for the ride with him because he understands that we have to win this together. I can't win this on my own. And I think he does a really good job of balancing that. And I'm not even the biggest LeBron fan, like whatever.
I don't think Mike believed that anybody could do what he was
think
doing.
You're right.
I don't think so.
But the truth of the matter is, nobody really could do it.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, you can't do what I'm doing.
No.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So at some point, it has to be like, okay, Mike, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy this ride. And I always said this growing up, right? Because people, the arguments, oh, Michael Jordan here. Think about the people that won a championship with Mike. And I'm going to name some names that probably would never be in the NBA today.
Judd Buechler.
Luke Longley would not be in the NBA.
God.
Bill Winnington.
Craig Hodges.
Yep.
I don't even know if B.J. Armstrong would have lasted that long without Mike. Right?
Jim Paxson or John Paxson, excuse me.
Not Dickie Simpson.
Dickie Simpson.
Dickie Simpson. What's Stacy?
Stacy.
Stacy Knight was his last name.
No. Stacy King.
Stacey King and Jesse Williams. There was a Jesse. Yeah, there was some bums on my Bulls
like
teams.
Horace Grant. I love Horace and his kids and all that, but Horace Grant was just a blue collar guy.
Yeah.
He was
Mike
in the right spot at the right time.
With 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other stars, and and the sad part is that a lot of people won't say. Once those guys were done with Mike, no one really took off said, "Pum!" Like, okay, I could do this myself, Mike. Look, I'm gonna go to LA and I'm gonna help them win it. Ron Harper was one that was able to do it, but not many.
And you know what's crazy? I posted a funny video recently, just basically saying if I had all of these trainers and I had all these scheduled appointments for basketball practice and everything, I'd be in the NBA right now. My kids are 11. What's taking so long? I'm joking. There's a lot of levity there, right? But I think a lot of parents go to trainers with this same expectation that their kid's going to show up on Sunday and then be the star of the show and the ticket to the NBA is written, right? And I think that's what they look for in a trainer is immediate results. What should they be looking for? Because I know you're a top trainer, right?
Yeah, and I'm going to just give you a quick correction. I don't really consider myself a trainer.
Thank you. Okay.
You know, I consider myself I am a basketball coach.
Got you.
And I think what's happened is, like, the names of players we're naming, like, they have guys that work them out. But, like, a trainer and a coach, they can have two totally different focuses.
Uh-huh.
And if your trainer, quote unquote, isn't preparing you for practice tomorrow, he's doing you a disservice. You understand? Like,
Yes.
so I start thinking about, and I thought about this the other night, some of the best players that come out of New York City. Kenny Anderson,
Yes.
right? Mark Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
You'll throw out Stephon Marbury.
Of course.
You'll throw out God Shamgard. You'll throw out Lamar Odoms. You'll throw out Speedy Claxtons.
Yep. Shout out to Speedy.
And you start thinking of, was it trainers or coaches? Jack Curran was one of the greatest coaches in high school history. You know, that's why Kenny Anderson was good. It wasn't because he had a trainer coming to get him. He had a good coach. And you look around New York City like a Mo Hicks, a Tiny Morton. You look over the bridge, Bob Hurley, Kevin Boyle. Those guys weren't great trainers. They were great coaches, and that's how you get better. So, like, and I'm going to be as blunt as I can, like, and honest, the quote-unquote trainers are destroying the team. And I see some things, and I'm just like, okay, so the kid isn't playing because he can't drive hard right and make a good chest pass, but he's working on in and out, between the legs, in and out, between the legs, behind the back, get to that cone, step back, Euro step, fade away. And I'm like, he's not playing because he can't take two hard dribbles, draw some defense, and kick it out.
Right.
And
so
it's
true.
funny, and I don't know if I shared that story with you, like one day in Larry Brown's office, and my boy Yurik Malachi's like, Coach Brown, tell C. Will what you like to do for a good laugh. And Larry Brown does that little chuckle, and he goes online, and I'm not going to say the trainer's name, he goes on YouTube, and he's watching these tennis ball workouts, and he's really getting a laugh out of it. Like, look at this. They're treating him like he's a dog. They want him to catch the ball and then throw it back. And and then 20 minutes later, I go to his practice, and everything is simple, basic fundamentals that all Americans and top 100 kids are struggling with. But they can catch a tennis ball, dribble, throw it back in the air, and do all this other stuff. And it's like,
you know, you bring up an interesting point. I used to see a lot of New York basketball players struggle on the college circuit when I was younger. I always noticed this. And I always noticed also that a lot of the kids outside of New York, when they would play in the game, they just seemed to know themselves physically a lot better, and they seemed to understand the way systems worked a lot better. So you'd get a guy that would run straight at you and just do a hesitation dribble, and he'd be by you, and you'd be sitting there like, I was waiting on a combo. What happened to the double tap, tween? And, you know, you get so used to it in our culture sometimes in New York City, and then I would just see these kids get dominated.
dominated.
And I'm like, yo, you were the top player in New York City. What happened?
I'm going to read something to you, and I saved this just for you guys. I'm going to read it to you as a tweet.
Okay.
From Richard Patino Jr.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Rick.
Now listen to this. He posted this. Interesting stats from the last 3 games. Illinois' loss, we had 180 passes. SLU win, 200 passes. Iowa win, 245 passes.
Wow.
Brandon Johnson dribbled it 9 times, 2 to break the press last night, and scored 26 points.
Wow.
Keep moving the ball, and good things will happen.
Wow.
Now, think about it. I don't know. It doesn't matter to train. Both of you guys have been in the gym with me.
Yep.
You see, I don't do a lot of all that drill.
Nope.
No, because now you look at trainers, every single thing that they're doing, and it's cute. Get your phone out.
Yep.
Is what? Dribble. This man is saying there's somebody that's keeping stats. 180 passes. We lost. We beat Iowa with 245 passes.
It's Crazy.
That's a crazy
So if
difference.
you're a trainer out there listening, eliminate the dribbles to give your clients, the kids you care about, a better chance of playing at that next level, because this is the stuff that matters.
Right.
Passes.
Well, and also it helps with IQ because a drill that you ran this past weekend, like point guard position, setting up for a catch and release type of play. And I remember specifically the timing was off and you stopped him and you're like, you're the point guard on the floor. How are you not reading this?
That's right.
You have to read this. And so the fact that you stopped and like called that out, I really appreciated that because it's not just about the drill. It's also pointing out the IQ. Like if I'm putting you in the point guard position, you need to play point guard. This is not just a drill. You need to read the floor. And yes, people's rebounds go all over the place. So this kid wasn't ready. Like you have to know that. Yeah. And I appreciated that you did that because I think, and again, we've had this conversation a lot too, is everybody has the skills these days. You have to bring more to the table than just the skills.
That's right.
So your IQ has to be one of the best out there because and that's part of a coach, right? The trainer who's doing cross between hezzy, behind the back, spin in the lane, whatever. Fine, great if you can do that. But we brought up the example of Kyrie. Like Kyrie's special. Yeah. Kyrie can do that because he's Kyrie. That doesn't mean you need to be doing that.
You see Kyrie sharp out there, right?
Right.
My.
You see how many workout videos you've seen of Kyrie since quarantine?
Like zero.
Not a lot.
But I bet one thing, right? My thing is the work will show, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's been in the
that
gym.
ball, right?
Yeah,
He's been
for
shooting
sure.
that ball.
Yes.
Yeah,
KD,
no, he's been
the
in the
work will
gym.
show.
Yeah.
KD, you ain't been bull jiving. Like you back. Like you
yeah.
ain't been waiting for the season to get ready.
He is back.
And
back.
even somebody like a CJ McCullough, you know what I mean, who is, I will say, he's not the most athletic guy in the league, but that kid can score because of his work ethic, his focus, and his high IQ.
You gotta
right?
be smart, but again, how do you get IQ?
You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Practice.
Yeah.
But you gotta love it too,
have
right?
to
You
love
have to
it.
be a student of the game, dude.
And that's a problem. Like I had a good conversation with one of my young guys the other day, and I'm like, "Yo, man, you watch the game last night?" Nah, see, well, I ain't really watched the game. I'm like, "Yo, you better start watching like full games." And then the following day in the car, he's like, "Yo, you seen that game last night?" So that to your point, I see that. Okay, you want it because a lot of times we say things to kids and they don't. But the fact that he came to me in the car the following day on our way to Jersey for workouts, and he's like, "Yo, you watched that game last night?" I'm saying, okay,
now
you're starting to understand. Don't watch no highlights. Highlights are trickery.
Yep.
Like
Right.
you know what I'm saying? You don't know what led up to that play.
And that's we've said that on this show. This culture, this quick hit culture, this impulsive culture, this instant gratification culture is so hyped up off of highlights. But I had to explain to my sons after we watched several games fully through. I said, so now you understand why when he hit this shot or when he dunked the ball at this point, it wasn't just that he caught a body. He actually caught a body at a pivotal point in the game, and now you understand the emotion of it and the momentum of it, and now you're understanding basketball. But people don't understand, I need you at a certain level of love and commitment before I can teach you the intricacies of this game we play, because you won't understand why it's so important. You'll overlook it without the love.
I'll tell you one deeper, L. It starts with us. Like, and I'll be the first to tell you, like, if you're coach or trainer, whoever's working with you, they don't love it. Like the best compliment I got, Malachi's dad called me 2 days ago. He was like, "Yo, see Will." I said, "What up?" He says, "Yo, check this out." I reached out to RJ Davis and I'm like, "Yo, RJ, what's your workout plan? Like you got a sheet that I could start working with Mally with, you know?" So he replies back like, "No, I don't have the sheet, but I can pretty much tell you what's going on." And my right-handed guard, 90% of what they're doing is the same exact things that me and him have been doing for the last 4 years.
Perfect.
So Elliot is like, "Yo, it's crazy because I'm sitting here and I'm telling him, yo, we do that." Their makes may just be a few more, or they may reset after a certain amount of misses. So I'm learning. I'm like, okay, cool. Now I know, but the thing is, like my workouts that you see, I'm taking a little bit of Jim Calhoun, a little bit of Don Nelson, a little bit of Rick Barnes, a little bit of Scott Drew, whoever I'm around, and that's why I spent a whole year and a half just going to college workouts, and I was watching what are they doing for individual workouts.
You understand the standard of that level. Because that's what you do when you piece together different people. The different people create the culture. The different people create the standards. So you become the big brain now because you've combined all of these techniques. And then you bring that to a kid. That kid's going to go out there feeling super prepared. Super prepared.
Not even know what they have. Like,
Right. Whereas when we work on these individual like handle drills and all these combinations, like you said, it looks cute for your Instagram, right? It looks great on social media. But at the end of the day, these are really situation specific skills. You're going to need this when you're trapped on a baseline and they're not letting you out back towards the 3 and you got to you're going to need
and
this
the shot
handle
clock
for that.
is at 3.
Like,
So you got to. But
how
the
often?
funniest thing, though, right, L, right? The funniest thing, right, which you won't see the guys that like to do that, you won't see them show that with defense on them. Be like, yo, show that move I just showed you. Wow, okay, cool. That kid right there, he's the best defensive guy in the gym. Let me see that.
Yep.
Because now once it goes live, it's like, what you mean? Like, do it now?
Yep.
Like, no, because you're teaching them. It's like you're drilling instead of teaching. Like, you know what? Like Phil Handy and Rico Hines was on the podcast about 2 weeks ago, and I was watching it, and they're like, why would I teach your kids a shot that they can get in 2 dribbles? Why would I show them that same shot in 7?
Right.
Like the same exact shot. I want you to get that shot from this left wing. I'm going to show you 5 dribbles to get to the left wing when I can give you 1 or 2 to get the same exact shot.
That's right.
And
right.
when we watch them play, like kids our age, or kids our age, our kids' age, it just equals turnovers.
Yeah.
They just turn the ball over every
too
time because
fast.
they're just back there, just like cross, tween. And I'm like, yo, pass the ball. Just pass the
Because
ball.
they're not- and that's why, to answer your question, we kind of went off.
It's all good.
Parents, don't worry about the best trainer. Try to find the best coach. And understand that that might not look like the #1 middle school program in the city or the #1 team. It might not look like that. Find the best coach.
So let me ask you a question because it kind of plays off that. E-Man, we want to shout out E-Man. He
shout out to
wrote
E-Man.
in and said, does an AAU coach who's been with the kids for years have more impact than a high school coach when it comes to a college decision?
Does a
AAU coach who's
That's
been
been with
with
a kid.
his kid forever have more weight in the college decision than the high school coach?
Well, that's a great question because sadly there's some people that jump in and they get around kids 11, 12 years old with the hope of, and I don't care who feels some type of way, with the hope that they can handle their recruitment because
Exactly.
of the leverage that it will give them.
Right.
Wow.
You understand?
Yeah.
But to answer his question, and I see it, it's like, is your middle school, elementary school teachers more important than your high school teacher and guidance counselor when it's time to get you ready for college? That's how I would put that.
Right.
Like, how would you answer that? Oh, no, I need to call Savannah's 3rd grade teacher so she can prepare Savannah for, you know how much Savannah's changed from 3rd? My daughter's in 9th grade now. You know how much she's changed? You know how much those kids change? And the problem, E-Man, this is the problem. Some coaches that have been with kids for so long, in their mind, they already say, the LA boys, that's them, that's their box. This is them.
Exactly.
D, this is him.
Yep.
And then that next person sees him and like, yo, he's in that box. Yo, he's not playing point guard. Like,
Yeah.
they told him don't shoot. They
Yeah.
told him don't dribble. No, he can. You
Yep.
know what I mean? Because it's a gift and a curse, because when you're around somebody so long, you build that relationship and that trust. And, the parents, they talk to each other and this, that, and the third. But then you get to that point where it's like, you have to be comfortable passing that off.
Yes.
Because I don't care who you are. It's really hard to be in someone's life for that long that's not your kid.
Right.
And have their best interest.
Right.
And-
And
at
it's
all
really about the
times.
kid at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And which was going to bring me to the other part of that, though. The parents also play a role in that. How do you feel about the parents and the sideline coaching?
Parent sideline coaching.
Because there's a lot of that.
It needs to stop. It needs to stop. It definitely needs to stop. And I see it especially in practice and game. It's like this. And we've all worked in like a school setting or a setting with kids. Could you imagine your mom in your class while your friends are talking and you over there whispering? I know my mother. If she's like, boy, be quiet. And the teacher's even going to be like, oh, man. But now it's a certain level of uncomfort because that child can't even focus now. And I see it. I see a whole different child sometimes when mom and dad is present and when they're not.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the thing is, and that's why it goes back to my point, find somebody that's a good coach that you can trust, that you can just sit back and say, okay, cool.
Yep.
That's what coach said.
Yeah.
Follow coach's directions. The problem is, like, it's so hard for certain parents to just let go and just be like, you know what, like they do in school.
Yeah.
You understand? Because that's what bugs me out sometimes.
That's interesting.
Parents,
We
where I'm
do
like,
trust schools more than we do
schools
trust
more
our
than
coaches, right?
Like, you'll trust
That's interesting.
But then you'll see the report card, and it's like, why is my son not? But it's like you'd rather judge that coach for every decision and but
interesting.
you'll send your kid to school and be like,
Because we know the game
I was
more
just
than we know
gonna.
school,
I was
right?
just gonna say that you know, people feel like they know the game. You don't have to be. You don't have to get a report card and a straight A to feel like you know basketball better than anybody else. So, but the problem with that is that, you know, I see it especially with the younger age groups where the kids are very confused because they feel very torn between the coach who's telling them to do one thing, which is pass the ball, move the ball, stop over dribbling, whatever, to the parent who's like, oh, screw that, take the shot, take the shot, take the shot.
But then again, you don't know the game.
Right.
Well,
Because if you're sitting over there telling
or
your kid,
or you may know the
shoot,
game.
shoot.
You may, but you just care about your kid's highlights because you're trying to get him attention because you need him to be on a different team or with a better coach or get a scholarship or do whatever.
Or just get a video to post on Instagram.
Right, because you want to
that's
go
what it's
viral.
come down to now,
Right.
just to get a picture. Or
That's
a
what
photo.
it's about.
That's what it's come down to.
I think the goal for a parent is, like you said, to find a coach that you can trust your kid with, but not only trust your kid, but trust your kid's trajectory with, right? Because oftentimes the clash comes from, well, that's not what we had planned for my kid. My kid's not going to play this position in high school, so why is he playing this position now? And so you have to be able to let go like that. And I think a lot of parents, not just dads either, dads and moms, right? And I think that happens not only because they've invested so much time, energy, and attention, but also because we're now talking about specialists like we've been talking about, and this is a career path.
Yeah.
And once we hit like middle school, AAU basketball, Catholic school, whatever public school league, it becomes more of a career path for some people. And some people actually feel like this may be the best possible way. And if you mess this up, I got to talk about it right now. I can't control myself.
And that's sad because middle school, elementary school is about development.
Yes.
There's no pressure. Like, it's about development. And you think about it and you're like, where most kids struggle, right? Like, even sometimes like this year, like my JV team, this was like the most, like I had like a real basketball mom team, like basketball moms, dads, and I had a meeting with them from the door. Like, listen, you're not gonna like me some days. Some days you're going to feel like, you know, I'm treating your son wrong, or I'm screaming at him too much, or you think I'm taking his confidence. You're not in practice with us. You understand? You don't see what I see every day. I had to have this conversation like at the very beginning. And I said, the only thing I ask you to do is not scream from over there on them sidelines. And I will give my parents credit. They did not do that, but I knew it was still hard for them to like follow the suit.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to see your child uncomfortable, but that's where growth happens.
That's where the growth
You know what I mean?
happens.
That's
And
where, as a
to your
parent-
point that you made even on the last show, if you don't get comfortable doing that now, do you think you're going to go to Kansas and you're going to be coaching from the sidelines? Do you think Bill Self is going to be like, okay, sure, you can sit behind the bench today?
Can't do it.
No.
Shout
You
out
can't
to
do
BG from LES.
Yeah.
Right? That video that was circulating of him. Basically, there was a fight or a
was
scuffle in his gym, and he separated the guys and was like, would you do that at the next level? Would you do that at this level? So why would you disrespect my gym? And I think there needs to be that lesson taught, that not only is the kid a guest, but the parent is a guest in the gym and in the atmosphere around the game, because you can't do that on the other levels where this is a professional thing. And if you call yourself putting your child on a career path, then you better also practice this part of it, the etiquette part of it. And I think a lot of parents miss that, and they think we're still in the little league and in the schoolyard yelling at baseball
They're not
games.
looking. They're not
Right.
looking. You're not looking, and that's it, and you're not setting expectations.
Right.
And you're doing
some
a
people
disservice to your
really
child.
aren't, like, to be honest with you, it's like, and you're an educator, L.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the smartest people aren't the best teachers.
Exactly.
Right about that.
Sometimes the most experienced people aren't the best teachers. And if you don't understand how to set the tone, like control your classroom, control your gym, control your workouts,
person on your team.
like you got to understand that. Like, you know, like these kids are different now. You know, like I'm screaming. It doesn't work with every kid.
You're right. And neither does being calm and having a conversation every time. Sometimes you got to rattle some kids to keep them alert, right? And I think a lot of people assume that people who are, this is the biggest mistake of people in positions of power or authority rather, is one, people assume that people are the best people for the job just because they're intelligent, or people are the best people for the job just because they got the job.
Exactly.
It's not always true. And then third issue is the way you said it earlier. Not every kid works with every system. Not every system works for every kid. And we have to stop acting as though these places that have clout or popularity or reputations are the only places that will work for certain kids and certain people. We really do limit and like squander our blessings sometimes. You know what I mean? Shut the door on blessings because we expect kids and people to just be certain things. We have to be more open to the connection between coach and player, the connection between team and system.
Yeah.
And just the possibility of switching it up. Like, you may think that your kid is, you know, a shooting guard, and that's just like end all be all. And that may not be where your kid ends up if that's not where it works best for your kid. You can't like put them in that box and leave them in that same box forever.
It goes to the point, you gotta find a coach that you trust,
Yes,
and
sir.
that's it. Like that's it.
And you have to also, you know, have some grace and humility and be like, I don't know it all.
Because that,
I
like,
don't know it all.
regardless of how it goes down, you're going to get to that point where that door is going to be shut, and you're not going to be able to just go to, hey, Coach K, I was thinking, you know, little Chris played point guard back in 6th grade, and they won an AAU national
imagine?
championship.
No,
and
it
then
happens,
in 7th
I'm sure.
grade, they moved him to the 2 guard. I didn't really like it, Coach K, and I noticed you doing the same thing. Well, ma'am, you know, there's a school up the block, North Carolina Central. You may want
Have
to try
fun.
to.
And here's
Have
the
fun.
Period.
The real translation. If you don't get the out my face,
Yeah.
I get paid lots of money to do what I do.
But it's the
Exactly.
same thing in a high school setting. It's not like not for nothing. Like what you did in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade doesn't matter when you come into the CHSAA,
Yeah.
or if you go to Montverde, or if you in the Brooklyn AA. What you did in 4th, 5th grade,
No way.
that don't travel with you. No. If anything, it sets you up where they be like, oh, that's that kid that was
Right.
really good in 5th grade. Look at him now.
Yep. Listen, we always have too little time to really pick your brain, but we just want to say that we're not only honored, as your shirt says, we are very grateful for your time, your expertise. We are going to be bringing our sons around as much as possible to just soak it up, and we also want to just make sure we extend and keep the lines of communication open. If people want to reach out.
Yeah, because we did have a bunch of listeners that had some questions, but because we were running late and we were just vibing, we just went with it. So I may actually send you those and have you answer them, and I can,
that'd
you know,
be cool.
we'll figure something out. But I definitely want to show them love because people really loved the last episode and really wanted to pick your brain. So thank you again, as Lawrence said, for being here. We're always
Thank you for having me. I
super.
appreciate
Oh,
it.
are you
Appreciate
kidding?
it. I
Of
appreciate it.
course.
Indeed.
Of course. So we always end it with a quote. And C. Will actually was in on the action, actually was there when I picked the quote yesterday. So
I'm sweating.
it's kind of exciting. I'm not going to say this. Calm down, teach. I'm not going to say the swear word.
All right.
But the quote is, I'm going to say effed up.
Thank
Can
you.
I say that?
Yes.
It's effed up how people get judged for being real and how people get loved for being fake. Excuse me. And Pac
Talk
said
about
that.
it, Tupac.
So
Say.
that's what I said yesterday. I was like,
no.
preach, Pac, preach,
Yeah,
right?
that's
and
it.
so it's awesome to know that C-Will loves Pac as much as we do because he's like my boyfriend. So
Legendary.
I love Pac so much. So anyway, I mean, not really.
That escalated quickly.
Okay. Anyway, so Anyway, so thank you again so much for
thank you
joining
for
us.
having me,
It's been
honestly.
awesome.
real.
It's been real.
Yes.
Super
It's
real.
been real, which I appreciate so much. So
That's it. Thank you.
that's
On
a
the way
that's
out.
a wrap.
From us to y'all, thank y'all for joining us. And tune in next time for another episode of
There we go.
Beyond the Journal.
Oh my goodness.
I won't
Please.
deny it. I'm a straight rock. All right. That's a wrap.
You don't want to